This meeting is being live streamed. Got it. It's always good when that happens. Let's see what's going on. So, morning, everybody. Well, it's morning in the UK. Let me just see if this is now working on my Facebook Live here. Let's have a look. Diddly-doo-doo-doo. It's a funny old game, as they say. Let's see now. Well, that's not working. Come on, son, what's going on? Ah, there we go. There we are. I'll just press on that. And then, if anybody's awake, Carol Schickel. Hello, Carol. Good morning. I hope you're keeping well. And let me see what else is happening. It's now 8:58. I'm always early. I've got this sort of pathological sort of thing where I hate being late. I hate being late for appointments. And I hate other people being late as well. But because I don't judge anymore, because I'm like, I've transcended judgment. Oh, God. Morning, Joseph. Oh, full title. Hey, full title. Right. Yeah, it's just sort of programmed in me to be on time, not too early. And I don't like being late, but I certainly don't like being rushed. Sandy, good morning to you. I hope you're keeping well. Aha, look at that. Here she is. Elsa Dillon has entered the waiting room. Got no idea what we're going to talk about. Spin beings, and there's like a spirally thing there. Morning. I've already started, it's terrible. I wake up with a head like this and I think, oh my God, what's on the cards today? How the devil are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
That's good.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you clearly. Yes, very clearly. Thank you. It looks like you've got like a big wire hanging out at the side of your head, almost alien.
Oh, it'd be easier that way.
Yeah, it's like you're sort of plugged into some sort of extraterrestrial device.
There's so many gadgets. It's like
I have to do one thing at a time. I used to be a multitasker, but that ability is being removed from me. I can only really do one thing at a time, because if I try and do any more than that, the sort of quality of the workmanship disappears immediately. So I think I'm being told, just do one thing at a time, put your whole heart and soul into it, Joe, and it'll all turn out okay, because so easy, isn't it, to get distracted with everything that's going on, really?
Well, I've never thought of it this way, but what you just said, see, that's the opposite for me. So it's like everything is happening all at once. It has to all happen before I come on a Zoom. And it's like it does this to stop me thinking. And I just thought, I've only ever thought of it just then when you said that. I went, wow. So it's like I've got more thrown at me than ever, but it turns off my thinking brain. So I'm just in continual, because I have to be allowing.
No, I understand that clearly, and I think it's a method to just help us to stay centered and grounded, because I've never been bombarded with so much information in my life, and I understand what that is. The way I sort of see it is, to go back to my number 12 thing, I think that all humans have a possible sort of connection to 12 streams of consciousness. That's where I'm up to. Everything's become all about mind for me. It's all about mind. And, I think it's almost like we're being trained to make order out of all this chaos, and it's only chaos if you get distracted away or taken away by it all, really. So that's where I'm up to. I sort of welcome, it's like I've got this attitude of, oh, bloody hell, bring it on, bring it on, because if I stay in my heart and soul, it's almost like I'm in the eye of the storm and I can see what's going on. The trick is then for me is to pick what needs to be done then. So almost like acting upon information received and then focus on that particular action then. And I think that's what I'm being trained in, because to be honest with you, this week has been like hell. I've had everything happen to me. I've been into the accident and emergency department for 2 days on the run now because my finger exploded. See my finger? Right. And I've
What's
got
that
no
from?
idea, honest to Christ, I've got no idea what happened. Right.
Which
But
hand's that one?
that's my right hand. And funnily enough, I've had a few of my friends on to say, Lisa Marie has been on to say, if you get a chance, ask Elsa. She can't move her right hand, or she can't pick things up with her right hand. Someone suggested to her that she's been told to put the sword down, right? Or I mean, I love all this, but I have to say to people, I work in a different way than most of the colleagues I work with on these channels, because I just get one day at a time, right? And I'm not really into finding out why, whether it's connected to some past life when I was a roundhead and shot in the left shoulder by the Cavaliers and stuff. I'm not, it's all very interesting to me. And I do like that, but if I ask about 10 different people, I get 10 different things, you see. So I think to myself, oh, well, there you go, So I'm not being disrespectful to anybody, but what difference does it make? I've still got to take some sort of positive action. And I'm very cut through, I can't be, I'm just, I was going to shut up, and listen to what you had to say today, but I can't help it, because as soon as I open my mouth, it all starts coming out. So I'm very cut through, and I can't be doing with waffle. It's like my head says, oh, for flipping heck's sake, will you just get to the point, what action do we need to take, So that's where I'm up to, Elsa. How about you?
Well, we have had exactly the same week. I would love to talk about it. I actually have spoken about it with you, but it's just a little bit raw at the moment. But it's wake up, just wake up, face it, wake up, face it, wake up, face it, and deal with each day. And the more these things happen to me and the family, I realize that the most important thing are the two suns, the rise and the set. That's it. Rise, set. And you reset for the next day, and you're ready for the next day. You rise and you set. And that's why it's so important right now that we get good sleeps as best as we can with the crazy energies coming through. It's if you can't rest at night, rest through the day, but getting that rest so that you can recharge for the next day. Because not only is it other humans that are behaving and acting out and challenging us, it's the food, it's the electricity, then it's all the galactic stuff, then it's all the information. It's a lot for your body to take. It is literally frying us, cooking us, and you need to have that. You do need to have that rest phase. You really so the rise and the set. We wake up before the sun, and we go to bed just after the sun, except when I talk to Dr. Joe, and and it just seems to bring some clarity to, well, especially this week. It has brought clarity to the whole family. And so what are you going to do? You're going to cry all day about it? Okay, well, that's fine. So then are you going to cry the next day and the next day? And then you realize that each day is different, and each day is a gift. And each day makes you realize, okay, you posted a picture of a red dragon on your run, and it had a weird like Welsh word on it. I looked it up and it meant still here. And I was like, I bet you that is going to be what the topic is on Dr. Joe. And here I am, and I'm talking about rise and set, and I'm still here.
Yeah, you see, the feeling I've got now, and this happens when we're right on blob, right? I've got this massive thing going right up my spine, right? And that's the indication that, you know, you're in the right place. It's the right place, it's the right time, and you're talking about the right stuff, you know. And I don't try and work this out anymore. I just know that for some reason, right, I'm being used, right, by some higher aspect of myself. And, you know, and whether that's extraterrestrial, whether it's angelic, whether it's a sort of mythological, it doesn't matter to me. What's happened to me this week is the dragons thing, that dragon energy that comes in, right, has been really, really strong with me, really strong. And when you put your news up, I mean, it breaks my heart, you know, because and then I get all this downloaded information in, and I think, you know, do I get onto Elsa to tell her that I'm going through this? And I said, because, and part of me says, no, I'm not going to, because they're going through hell. Leave the poor girl alone. Excuse me to call you the girl, but, you know, leave the poor girl alone, you know, let her settle down. And then when you chat to her, maybe the information will come through, you know. So there is a part of me that feels into these things. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, well, I was, because of what's happened this week, I got called out to outside. And I was called out. It was 11 o'clock at night, which is classic because Pamela and I have been speaking of this Odin energy. And Odin is all about number 11. So 11, I'm out in the middle of the paddocks at night, and I'm looking up at the stars going, okay, well, I'm out here. You've got me out here. Everything's okay. So can I go back to bed now? I'm really tired. I look up and there's a huge cloud in the shape of a dragon, and it was felt alive. And I've seen dragon clouds before, but this one was lit by the moon, and I was stunned, literally stunned by it, and I realized that that's why I was out. And then I come back to bed, and I think it was the next day I saw the red dragon on your post. And I was like, here we go. And then next year is the wood dragon. I'm going, okay, here we go. So Odin is wooden. I'm going, of course it is. So it's, so dragon comes through for great strength and nobility. And I feel I've had all this mother energy, and it flipped over to this masculine energy, which sort of took me on by surprise. I mean, I knew it was coming, but I wasn't so prepared. So that threw me out for a week or two. And now this masculine energy, and then seeing the dragon, I felt like they're preparing us for the dragon energy of next year.
I confirm that with everything that I feel from the depths. And what happens to me is, and just bear with me while I just let this go. That comes through a lot now. And it's so deep, and it's resonating right up my legs from the earth. And these are the thoughts that come to my mind. And Elsa, when that comes through, right, children love that. You would think that it would frighten them, but actually children love it, right? And what actually happens is I see in my mind, like rocks, I see rocks, and out of the rocks emerge rock people. And from the rock people then come the dragon energy. And from the dragon energy, it changes to like a lion energy, you know. And these are the things I wake up with in the morning. I think, oh God, you know, because I was like, I thought I was ill, but I was receiving this information. You know, in 1987, at the time of the Great Harmonic Convergence, whatever that was, because I didn't know these were things were happening, I was receiving all this type of energy. and all these sorts of voices and things were coming through. Well, obviously, they diagnosed me at the time as schizophrenic because all these voices were telling me, you know, to do certain things, you know. But I see now that there's loads of people going through supposed like medically diagnosed schizophrenia, when in fact it's just simply spiritual emergence. And that's so important, because the medical profession will medicate people to try and keep that down, because they don't understand. It's not because they're evil or anything like that. It's just that they don't understand. But the people who are in the know, who've been through this process, can actually like turn around, grab them by the hand and pull them out of I see them being pulled out of this hole from the ground and then kicked up the bottom to say, there we are. That's what all that was about. Off you go now and listen to your heart, you know. So that dragon energy, you know, which when it first came through, I thought, oh my God, I'm possessed here, you know. So I'll shut up and to see if you can feel anything from that.
So last night I woke to a deep grumbling voice in the echoing in the hills, and I thought, is that Richard? And I woke up and he was snoring, so it wasn't Richard. And so I thought, oh well, maybe that was a dream. So that was the first one. Then I got the second one, I was awake. The second one I'm awake, and the third one I'm awake. I go, I've heard metal screeching in clouds before. I've heard shuddering, but I have never heard it was definitely a male energy. Like, it wasn't howling, it wasn't growling. It was like more a deep, like chanting type singing. It was really odd. And I'd only just spoken to Richard about it. And so that's weird. That's this is dovetailing for a reason. So
yeah, it's confirmation.
This is very cool.
What I get is, Joe, each of the 12 spheres of consciousness has a frequency associated with it, a vibration, you know, it's a musical sort of chord and note and things. And what we want you to do is, and you know, I always keep open about this, you know, but what we want you to do, Joe, is put music to the vibrations, you know, and work off that. So this one's going to be like, you know, I really, you know, almost like, and I've got like a sort of cartoon character in me. And then I also see, here we go, the spine thing's coming up again. And also my dad's favorite thing was, you know, the bird in I'm the King of the Swingers, you know, that's the Jungle Book. I was brought up on the Jungle Book, you know, and I keep getting, my dad's favorite song was, and we played it at his funeral, was the Bare Necessities, you know, when the bear, you know, he's going around, look for the bare necessities, the simple burn. And the whole point about that is the words are perfect, because it's taking people back to living a frugal life, just dealing with the essentials, right? Keeping it simple, right? And nature will provide what you need when you need it. So just let go now. You don't have to work anything out. Come out of the complexity now, or the complicated, not complexity. Come out of the complexity and keep it simple, one day at a time, one breath at a time. And that seems to be what I'm supposed to be passing on this information to people, is that we live this overcomplicated life, which we know. And it's how do we get back to simplicity and cutting through all the bollocks and the nonsense that's going on? It's just become aware of your breathing. And that's the end of the story, really, because as you get into this synchronized breathing, the information will come in forms of inspiration and intuition to guide you to take action on what you need to do next.
Which brings me back to your dragon, still here. So still, what happens with a still? So we have the original still here. So still is it stills and it ferments and bubbles up in them, right? Here is her ear. So you're hearing it as well. So by being still, you'll hear what you need to do. So we're still here.
Well, again, off that one, distillation, you know, a distillation is almost like a sort of condensing, really, of information. And when I got still, the still small voice as well, you know, and then the still, when you distill something, it's the spirit. So there's all the spirits. That's how you make spirits and all this, you know. So we're taking all these various ingredients, and this gets us back to the cooking and the cooking tips and diets and everything else. See, when I was doing that run, right, and this is, you know, I don't tell lies. I just say what's coming to me, and it could be nonsense, but people have to discern that for themselves. But I'm running along, and I see the Welsh flag with the Welsh dragon, and you popped right into my mind straight away, right? And this is what happens is I have certain people who I sort of resonate with in the invisible realms, and their face just pops up straight away. And I got, this is for Elsa, and I go, well, you'll have to tell me what that means, right? And I just put up the dragons, right, because it's significant to Elsa as well, you see. So that's what I get, you know. And I got, you know, with horse I got Norse, with Norse I got Odin, with Odin I got Thor. And then I got the mighty hammer of Thor, right, happening on Thursday. And I get all this, and I think, hang on, you'll have to slow down, because just please condense this information for me and present it to me in the action that I need to take. And that's how I live my life now, really. And also the other thing is, there are people who purport to be spiritual leaders. And I'm not saying I'm any better or we're any better than anybody else, but this is what I get. There are teachers of teachers, Joe. You are a trainer of trainers. And if people are sending out spiritual messages, right, they will be tested now to the nth degree to see how much they can walk the walk rather than talk the talk. Now, I've been through this. I used to get all this information and I'd spout it out, but I couldn't live by it. I had moral and philosophical convictions galore, but I couldn't live by them, right? So those people, right, who are spouting it out and not being able to walk the walk are going to be tested, and almost like it's all part of the disclosure process, right? And as I say, you know, Elsa, I'm not, you know, saying that I'm better than anybody else, but I think some of us have been through hell and come out of the other side. So we've got the sort of vibration of real personal lived experience, right, rather than just knowledge of it, really.
Well, I think that's what I find people resonate with our stories and our shares, because they're truth, and literally experience this. You can't take that flag away. You can't take that moment away. That actually happened to Dr. Joe, and you're sharing it, and now it's dovetailing with information that I have as well. And so now we're starting to see this, we're starting to see the connection. And you hear all these spiritual people say that we're all connected, we're all one, but that seems to be as far as it ever goes. You know, we all love each other. That's great. But this, to me now, what's happening around the globe and around, you know, I'm not having it just with like Dr. Joe, I'm having it with little kids that I meet, or animals, or like you said, rocks or dragons or a flag or an insect or a being or whatever, a ghost. It doesn't, this is all now, this is becoming the one. And it's like the cosmos is mimicking us, and it's also walking the talk. Like it's showing us that too. Like it's mirroring back to us, because we're walking the talk. The cosmos is showing us how connected we are. So it's again, you can't separate the giver from the gift. So I feel very even though sometimes it is challenging, it's still gifts. Even the challenging is still a gift.
No, I agree. And I see that now. I see, okay, what do I have to learn from this? Because I'm not pretending I know stuff. Because I mean, I've put up a thing there, you know, and it says Antipodean ET, and right, and then NFI I've put in there. Well, that's my little joke, because I've got to have a little joke. And NFI is code for I'm not really quite sure, meaning no idea. So when people ask me, you know, what shall I do next? I'll say NFI. What do you mean NFI? I've got no idea. you know. And one thing I learned is, because I used to be a know all knows all, right? And anybody asked me a question, if I didn't know the answer, I'd make something up. So and I'm good at making things up, what I used to be. So now I just live in this sort of state of I'm not quite sure. And then people say to me, but you've got these qualifications, you should know. I say, I know I should know, but I really don't know, right, what to do next. What do you mean? I say, I have to wait till it emerges. And they say, I don't know what you're talking about. I say, I know that. I know that you don't know. And that, well, how do I do it then? And I say, you put your hand on your heart and you bring a positive emotion in. What do you mean? What do you mean a positive emotion? Think of something that you love or something that you get a deep caring feeling, right? If it's a child that you love, right, bring the child's face in, right? Get the energy that goes with it. Get shut of the child because it's done its job. Stay with the feeling and breathe that feeling in. And my mantra is breathe in the light, breathe out the shite, and I get into trouble all the time with this, but so you breathe in the light, that's coming in, it's collecting all the gunge that's on the inside, right? And it's breathing it back out to be re-assimilated. Okay, so that's what I do. So if the child doesn't work for you and you don't like children, you might have a pet. So bring the pet in, and when it brings that really deep feeling in, you're then connected with your soul's consciousness. Then you breathe in and out. So if children and pets don't work for you, put your wallet in there, right? If money makes you feel happy, stick that in there, because we're just trying to reconnect with the feeling that brings you joy and soul connection, and then you breathe that in and out and allow that to, sort of overtake and sort of infuse you. And then that feeling then will start to provide you with the information that you need next. And that's what I do, Elsa. I'm sorry. That's what I do, Elsa. I try to help people to plug back into themselves, because I haven't got the answers for them. They have to find them for themselves. Otherwise, they're always looking to me to provide an answer. And if it goes wrong, they can blame me then when it doesn't work for them, And I think that the job of people like ourselves is, or myself is not to provide them with, is to help them to energetically reconnect with their source selves. Christ, I'm not half going on, but over to you.
So we met with a lovely lady, and I did something with her. It's very similar to what you do, but it's just a little adjustment. So this is your soul here, and you have the soul on your feet. And I said, let's do this together. So we got our two hands together like this. So there's one soul on top of the other. And I said, I want you to put it on your belly button. So you make like triangle shapes with your hands. And I said, I just want you to feel the belly button. And I want you to remember that this is your place of entry. And this is where you first started. This is your gut feeling, and this is the true heart. And I want you to now look down at your hands and your arms. And when you look down at your arms, it's two triangles together. And this is, I see this symbol a lot, two triangles, like a diamond. And I said, that's us. This is heaven. Heaven's in you. Heaven, you have, this is the other thing that has come through, is so you have your right foot and your left foot, and one's masculine and one's feminine. And this is the tuning forks on earth. This is the electric current that we are. And as you take a step on earth or Gaia, the energy goes up through your left leg, crosses through heaven, your belly button, and comes back down to your masculine. Then it comes back up and down, back up and down, back up. And then it creates the arc. And I felt that this was a really, whether it is or it isn't, doesn't matter. but it just feels so good. And it was the lady that I was doing it with. She was lovely. She's so beautiful. She was as teary as I was, and it was just a nice way to get into that feeling that you're talking about, because so many find that feeling so hard to find, but it's there with us all the time. It's just hiding under that goop that you talked about.
Oh no, I couldn't agree more. And I think if there was an opposition, right, that's set up so that we find ourselves, then they would distract us away from these deeper feelings, wouldn't they? They'd keep us in our audio visual heads, right? And they'd take us away from our bodies. And I think lots and lots of people are being distracted away from that. They're almost living a life of just a head. I see like a head on a stick, really, and like a pup is, and it's almost like a sort of programmed automaton that can only rely on knowledge, because knowledge is based with is memory. So this is the place of memories. We have to go beyond that by going deeper, and I've always felt that the deeper we go, the higher we get, because I think the more that you sink into this heart of hearts, I call it the heart of hearts, because I see the heart. It's like gates open, and then it goes deeper then. And you probably connect that possibly with the spleen, because I think the spleen's important, and sometimes I get a picture of a spear and the centurion actually, and Christ on the, I'm not a religious person, but it's a symbolic thing really. And it's when they punctured the spleen, all the energy was let out then, you see. So that was a disempowering thing. But the other thing that you mentioned, the hands, is that the nails in the hands were also to obstruct the flow of this energy as well. So there's all these symbols that come through. So, I see how air becomes again. Zup. Yeah, son, you're doing well. Keep going. So the spleen is important. And I think that the spleen and the soul at depth are connected, And I have a thing they've called this the splenic triangle. And it's actually associated as well with, there's a line that comes down here on the left-hand side, and it runs down, and it runs through the pectoral muscle, down the arms and stuff like that. And so anything at all that obstructs that channel there is disempowering. And that's why when people get heart attacks, they feel that pain going down there. There's so many things we talk about. Sorry, go on.
So it's only on the left side.
That left-hand side, yeah, that's the connection. It's the left-hand side, right? Wow. And that's associated with the sorry to put in.
The feminine,
yeah, it's feminine, but it's right hemisphere as well. And the right hemisphere is where all the creativity comes in. And it only connects really in the hemispheres across the bridge. You mentioned the arc. The arc is a bridge. And it's like a resynchronization. I mean, don't get me going, because otherwise we'll have no time to talk about anything. But it's a resynchronization of hemispheres. So that means the East and the West, is now, they're now fusing together. But it's all the gunge that's blocked it now is clearing the channel. So this energy that's coming in, which is a feminine, nurturing, cleansing, powerful energy, right? It won't take any nonsense now. This is what's causing people to have pain in their physical bodies, because it's highlighting where the obstructions are. So pain is the touchstone of our improvement. Where you've got pain, it's a sign to say, hang on, there's a block here. Sink deep, ask your intuition, what is it that I've got to do? And it might be something as simple as stretch your left arm out now, right? So that you can sort of clear the flow. And as the flow comes in, then we'll give you more information on what you need to do next. Over to you, Elsa.
It's interesting you've brought this up, because since this masculine energies come in, I know that a lot of the things they're putting in the atmosphere have been to attack the masculine energies. So when the masculine energy came in, it was challenging not only for men but for women as well, because the masculine energy has been attacked and depleted. So a lot of our family members and a lot of the animals have had pain, And one of the things I've been doing is we've got a big rock out here, and I go and lie backwards on the rock and put my arms back like you just did. And I can feel all the air popping in my vertebrae. And then it gets to the spot where I broke my back with the horse kick, and I feel this big pop there. And then I'm like, oh, like it's, but just that stretching back. And when I do that, I have to breathe into it, because the first thing that your body does is it holds its breath. And I find that really interesting. But especially here is where I'm feeling the stretch the most. And so that's really interesting what you just brought up.
Well, every time I look at you, I see a scarab across your chest, right? I see a scarab. Takes me back to ancient Egypt, takes me back to those connections, but I just see the scarab, right? And I think that the scarab needs to stretch itself out, because what tends to happen is, symbolically, we protect our heart first and foremost. And in any stress, the left pectoral muscle tenses, almost like to contain that area there as a protection. So if we keep being fearful all the time, we develop this habitual sort of chronic pattern of tension in our left pectoral muscle. Now, there's a place in our left pectoral muscle that most people can find it. If you press on, there'll be a tender spot. Okay. And there's actually a cardiac trigger point there. I found this fascinating, really. But when you press on it, you can actually see ECG changes, or in the States, it will be EKG changes. So by pressing on your physical somatic body, you can actually invoke, right, a response in your visceral body as well. Okay. So if sometimes you can pin that spot down, and it'll be painful, but if you pin it down and then stretch it out and almost like try and make the tubes all sort of become clear. And then the out breath's important, because neuroscientifically, the out breath's associated with the vagus nerve, which is the feminine. So that's sending the feminine energy to flush out all those tubes and channels, I mean, we can go deeper than this. I mean, we can get into meridians and nadis, but there's even more subtle channels now. And that's what we're being asked to do, is to realign our physical bodies with the energy that's coming in, because our light bodies, the soul, is trying to sort of, I say infiltrate, sounds like negative now, but the soul is trying to get through and almost like push out any of the obstructions in the physical body. So things like hatha yoga, yin yoga, stretching, exercise with consciousness. I don't mean exercise to get faster and all that, that's nonsense really. It's exercise to throw out with the out breath, to throw out all the gunge that's accumulated over eons of time. Over to you.
It just keeps coming back to your dragon still here. So you ferment. So you're allowing the spirit or the senses to ferment up and out. It's wow. It's amazing how I'm going to bring attention to this, how simple it is that Dr. Joe remembered a picture and posted it up, and these words have shape-shifted my life and my family's life by hearing these words, because I've been talking about it all day. But then they'll go and talk to somebody else, and how it just spreads, and it's comes from one person sharing. How this triggers and then connects, and then the cosmos shows you what you need from this information. And if you can be in that allowing state, then the true need of what you need and the universe needs comes through. I keep saying to everyone, this is faster than Google, and I'm not kidding. It's getting faster and faster than and people will say, oh, we'll be telepathic and all this. And this is much more than that. This is healing others in other countries. This is healing before we've even spoken. Like how this is the new way, or the old way refreshed.
Well,
Without the goop.
The title of this, what I put in was Ancient Futures, because and so that's it. I had a dream one night, and it was about, I mean, I don't go into ETs and planetary stuff much, but I got this Pleiadian thing, and Pleiadian thing, and it came through, and it was like a great big cycle like this, and it was almost like, right, the ancient past, right, was coming round in a big cycle, and I got, oh, hang on a second, that's the future. So what's actually going on with us on Earth now is the ancient past, which is really the future. I was thinking, oh God, what does it mean? What does it mean? But, I read a thing recently, and I'm so into ancient Egypt, right? As but I got this thing, is that the Egyptians didn't build the pyramids, Joe, right? The pyramids, they discovered the pyramids. I thought, oh no, right? Because the pyramids were built long before, right? The history books told us, And I go, well, hang on, what does all that mean? Joe, the intelligences that built the pyramids, right, informed the ancient Egyptians, right? And that took me into a whole new sort of aspect of searching and going deeper within myself, And I'd love to talk more, or maybe we'll do it one day, is about, the Nefertiti and Nefertari connection, because I think I get Nefertari, you see, a lot, as the sacred feminine, right? But also Ramesses II as well, and I get that sort of era that informs me, and as I've said to you before, my consciousness has taken me back through those realms into Africa, and from there it took me to the Dogon tribe, right? And this is big with me, and I don't understand it, but I keep getting, Joe, your influences are coming from Sirius, and I go, okay, well, what does that mean, right? And I got, Joe, it's not just Sirius A and B, you are being influenced from Sirius C, right? And I go, that's fine. So I go and look up in the normal stuff, and they tell me there's no such thing as Sirius C, and I'm getting, oh yes, there is, right? Because Sirius is normally considered to be a binary star, but Sirius C is the triangulation. It's the completion of the process. So what's actually coming through is, see, where we go. The Sirius C energy really is part of the completion process, right? And it's manifesting more and more strongly. It's associated with this great shift in consciousness. It's associated with the sacred feminine and blah, 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 blah. So Sirius C is making a comeback. And with Sirius C, I get the big white lines that come in. So I get the sort of the Lyre and Syrian connection then. And I don't fully understand all that, but I don't get taken away with it. I just say, please just give me the information I need and just show me what to do. Thanks very much.
Wow. So, so cute, because you sound like our kids. Sirius C's making a comeback. It's like, it's tricky because, well, that's what my father said to me. That was the only ET sort of information that we had as children, was that my grandfather, Papu, my yaya, and my father always just said the stars built the pyramids. That's how they understood it. They lived in Egypt, and it was just it was like a matter of fact, and I never really gave it much attention, but I knew the Egyptians didn't build it. It was well before them. And it has had many renovations as well, which I loved. And a lot of meteor involvement as well. But it's well before them. As are the temples that we found here. They're well before that as well. What gets me is the Egyptians in Australia. Like, why is that here? And why are we connected to it? Why? And I'm like you. I go, okay, well, that's great. But how does it serve me acting and walking now? And that's how rich it is with all this information, especially when it was first, evolving in us in the family. He was like, well, so how does this serve us? How does this serve us? And it's not just us, but it's, the animals, the land. How does it serve us? How do you, you can, like you said, you can preach and talk and be a guru, but if you're not walking your talk, then what is it? It really does become a fruitless show.
Somebody said to me once, it's all very well being eccentric, but if you can't deliver the goods, it's not worth a carrot. You know what I mean? So, you can be eccentric. Yeah. I don't know where that came out, the carrot. You keep getting back to the nutritional side of things, which is important. Something that keeps coming back to me is pneuma and pneumatics, because I'm really, I'm a scientist really, and I'm very interested in medical physics, because I think that's the way forward for humanity. It's medicine in the shape of whole health, and it's physics really. So it's understand that consciousness and physics are the same thing. It's just that using. And to me, I call myself a sort of a consultant in subtle energy medicine now. Subtle energy medicine. But to go back to pneuma and pneumatic, pneuma means it means wind. And I got, by the way, wind horse the other day as well, that connection with wind horse as well. And I also got Eddie, right? And I also got Ed. And when you signed, you put ED, and I got ED is Ed. It takes me back to Eddie. It takes me to Windhorse. I'm just going to keep going with this as it's coming out. It took me to Windhorse. It took me to the connection of wind is pneuma. Pneuma means spirit, right? And breath's important because you can actually use your mind, your breathing and direction to actually clear obstructions. But the out breath is the thing, because what the out breath does is it releases you from the emotional attachment to fear, and it provides the current, right, which will clear all the obstructions, which allow fearless. Excuse me, did I swear that? Big pardon. So, which allows the cleansing energy to clear the channels, to bring the courage through, so that you can take the action to make the world a better place. Phew, and breathe.
Oh, so the word university is means universe, and it basically means to take you away from the universe, asking you to leave the universe so they can mine you. So if you're in a default state and allowing others to mine you, they can use your senses for how they wish to use them. And there's all different levels of that we just don't. You can Google that. But if you choose to mind yourself, you mind your, that's where the word mind came from. And so you're using your senses. So that's when we say, when you come into this state of practice, because you have to practice it, you have to practice this breathing you spoke about, you actually start to recolonize your ions in your body, because you're asking for their attention. Yeah, it's a command. And so are they listening to my command, or are they listening to something I've just heard? And when we go into conversation just with people on the street, so we're walking our talk and we meet people and they go into default conversation, I'm tending to go a little bit more quieter. I just can't do default anymore. I really am. I think I'm exhausted from default conversation. If I can't feel them speaking from the heart or their soul or their truth, and they're in default and they're just in repeat headline mode, I'm instantly bored. I'm looking for the delete button in a way, I know it sounds really mean. I don't mean to be that way. It's just, I just, I see how precious it is to be here, and I just don't want to encourage that behavior anymore.
Well, meet your mates, because I'm the same. But in truth, I've always been the same. I've always been the same. I can't
Yes.
do the politically correct thing, and I never have been able to. The reason I drank so much was to anesthetize myself from listening to the boring drivel that most people come out with, right? And I'm just being honest, and people who know me, they know me. My kids know me. They go, "You're bored now, Dad?" I said, yeah, because I go and see my kids and my grandkids, and they can sense that, oh, hang on, he's not interested anymore. He'll be going in a minute, So the whole point is, it's how do you say, and I've said this before, and people think I'm really horrible, and I'm not. I'm just trying to. I don't want to waste my breath. I don't want to waste my time, because this is all connected. I don't want to waste my breath. I don't want to waste my time, and I don't want to waste my energy on stuff that I'm not interested in. It doesn't mean to say that what they're saying might be relevant in a month's time or something like that, right? But right at that moment, in the here and now, it doesn't interest me. And if it doesn't interest me, it's almost like siphoning my energy off, right? And I need all my energy to remain laser focused to take the actions that I need to do, and it's like cutting through all the shit, really, and I have an because I've been asking spirit or God or whatever this thing is. I've been saying to them, or ETs or whoever you are, and this is what I got, right? What do I call you? I said, because I don't like God, because it smacks of the religious side of things. So I want to put that aside. I don't want to say this, that, and the other. What should I call you? Well, just call us the Holy Spirit, right? Or if you like, just call us Spirit. I thought, okay, I can handle that. That sits right with me. Dear Spirit. And Holy, Joe, by the way, means everything's connected, whole. Have you got that, son? Yes, thank you. I've got that, right? So that's how I'm speaking to this thing all the time, So what was it? Oh, yeah. Please give me a way to say to people, right, that you're boring the arse off me, and I've got to go now, right? And I go, just say, oh, that's not my cup of tea. Not my cup of tea. Oh, not my cup of tea. Anyway, nice to see you. Goodbye. And what it means is I am not resonating with the stuff that's coming out of you at the moment, And so, because I do try, because sometimes I think when I hear myself say things, I think, Christ, that was a bit sharp, Joe. But Elsa, I can't be doing with it anymore. I had to be absolutely virtually out of my brains on drink to be able to stay there for more than a few seconds, and I'd be nodding like a nodding idiot, and doing the, and they think, oh, he's a lovely sociable chap. He's always listening. He's a good listener. I'm a terrible listener. Here's another thing, and I'll give you a go in a minute. But here's another thing: you mustn't judge. I think I can't help it, right? But okay, change the word then. Evaluate. Just say you've got to evaluate, right? Just use the word evaluation to discern what's going on. Over to you.
So you said it doesn't interest me. So it's not, comes back to your dragon again. It's not still in here. You're not, when someone speaks to me, are you sharing with me, or are you telling it at me like this? And I feel, if I feel this forcefulness of a frequency, I don't need a frequency to be forced on me. I feel you already. So why are you so eager to force it on me? Because you don't believe it, and then it starts to fall apart. And it's tricky. And I was like you. I thought, well, am I judging people? And it's not. It's you're feeling their frequency, and it doesn't align with you, so it doesn't rest me. It's not in resting in me. It doesn't make me feel still. So when I have someone throwing their frequency at me, and generally it's I'm this, doing this, I'm busy, I'm this, and And, I used to attempt to make those people feel comfortable and smile and, but now I just let them, I just, generally they walk off.
Yeah.
They spin themselves out really quickly, or it's not, I don't think I agree with you. I don't think it's a judgment. I actually feel it's your senses feeling their senses, and they're not aligning.
No, I agree. And that's how I live my life now. My heart just puts out this thing, and if it bounces back and there's like an open flow, that's a good positive thing. It's almost like I could work with that person, and then I'll see somebody else's face and I get, that means move on to a different person. And no, I can't be told, there's something in me that will not be told by somebody else, all I'm doing here is sharing how I'm feeling, and these are my thoughts. Whether you take them on board or not, it doesn't matter. It's immaterial to me, right? But and I'm not talking about you personally. I'm talking about anybody I speak to. Really, I'm not trying to deliver a message on what they should do. I'm just trying to say, look, this is who I am. These are my thoughts at the moment. This is the way that I feel, right? It's something else I can't do. Let me just tell you about the still small voice. I got this clearly yesterday. The still small voice. It's still, Joe, because it's not emotionally reactive. It's still, that's the still that means, it's always been a small voice, but it's quite powerful, because if you can let go of all the distractions and the noise which is there to distract you from listening to this still small voice, when you get into the same chamber as it, must be a sound chamber, right? It's really quite a powerful voice, Joe, and it will drive you. Because I used to think I used to think I'm supposed to be spiritual. That means I've got to talk in a sort of little way and be smooth, and say things in a gentle way. I couldn't, I'd be like, oh, it's awfully lovely to see you, So I've got a loud voice. They used to call me foghorn when I was a kid. They called me the foghorn because they could hear me from miles away. And I know now, Elsa, that's because I've got a really booming, powerful voice when it comes through. And it's supposed to be like that.
Wow. So now you are bringing up pyramids. 777 phase is about being. So being is this is you here on Gaia, and this is the other being of you, witnessing you. So what are you doing? You're feeling the vibration of yourself, and it keeps bouncing back and forth from spirit to act to spirit to act. And this is what they would practice, the Egyptians particularly, in the pyramids with, they would usually go with 2 or 3, and they would go in, and sometimes they would have blood or water, or it could just be the 3 of them and them being the arcs carrying the water and blood, and they would say the words that they would say, the magic words that they would say, and they would vibrate back and forth off all the walls, and the way the shape of the walls would revert, like bounce the words back to them and charge them up. It's very clever. It's an energy. But that's what you're doing. So you're listening to the still voice in you. So this is you're doing that. You just said you're doing it. You're doing it already. So you're doing an ancient. So here we have Dr. Joe doing an ancient practice in himself daily. Can you see how this is the all connecting as one?
Well, I've got clear pictures now, and this is what I get. Imhotep, right? He was an expert in vibrational medicine. You said reverb. I got Joe. Just take the verb. The verb is an action word, right? So again, it's to do with script. That'll go back to your DNA. And the sound chambers in the pyramid, the step pyramid at Saqqara, right? That's where all the sound and healing vibrations went through. Because I get clear pictures of this in my mind, where they used to put somebody on like a slab, and there'd be these corridors and sound chambers, and they just basically bombard them with different tones and different energies, So there's all that frequency stuff. What was the purpose of that? To reset themselves. When it gets set down, I get back to Set and Osiris. So there's that balancing thing going on. I can see that you're going, So all this is happening. So it's all to do with reverberation, right? Rescripting and cleansing, and allowing us to cleanse away all the gunge from the eons. And I love that word eons, because it's like ions, but eons of time. So all that stuff that's encased us is now being obliterated, and we're almost like, I've got another thing now, is that in the center of this marble block now, all the stone is being chipped away now to leave what we already were in the first place. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Elsa Dillon.
It's like, this is like, we all family call it ping pong. So you ping pong back and forth, and it just but it's not the ping pong like you said. It's not the sport where you're really running as fast as you can. It's that gentle game where it just keeps flowing, and that's where the magic is because that's where it can grow and expand. And this ping ponging that we're doing, so the rise and set. So you have the rising sun and the setting father, and the all in between is of the mother. So they grow and play in the grounds of mother or Gaia to the setting sun. And then it starts all over again. Who comes first, the chicken or the egg? I don't know. But it comes up a lot. And you said they go in to reset themselves. It's a resetting, and hearing these formulas from Dr. Joe and the ancient Egyptians, and then taking it to your slumber each night. Feel your heart, or feel your belly, and rest into it, and then do the same as you rise in the morning, as you set at the night and as you rise in the morning, and practice it for 7 days and see if you have a different outcome through your day.
There's so much coming here, because they call that the dawn phenomenon, right? And it's called the dawn phenomenon. It's a neuroscientific, it's not to do with the autonomic nervous system. And what happens is, before we open our eyes, so this is not about eyes, this is about sound. It's supposed to be associated with the birds singing and the dawn chorus. So the dawn chorus impacts upon our ears, right? And our tympanic membranes and all that sort of stuff. And then, right, our body starts to become and prepare itself for the day ahead. And this is where my stuff on the body comes in, and balancing the autonomic nervous system. So that's called the dawn phenomenon. But the other thing I get is, in the beginning was the word, and there's sometimes people say that the word was Om, and I get, that's like Ohm's law, isn't it, Joe? And I go, oh, you'll have to remind me what that is. Well, Ohm's law is all about electrical resistance, right? And I get, okay, so they're showing me that the sound is connected to electrical resistance. Sound came before light, Joe, because it was the action of the sound on the firmaments that caused the flashing and the sparks, right? And I get all this stuff, and I say, well, that's all very nice of you to tell me this, but what practical application has this got? So that I can try to explain it to people, because I can't explain it to myself, right? So you'll have to keep feeding me with simple stuff, because I'm not as clever as you think, And I get, all right, we'll give it, and this is how they speak to me, we'll give it to you in little, so that you understand it, and then you can pass that information on in little chunks as well, So this is why I love these conversations with you, because it flows. More and more information comes in, but then I have to sort of say to myself, or whatever the hell it is, I have to say, please give me a piecemeal now, because I feel a bit overwhelmed with it. It's coming in too quickly. When I can't process it, I feel like I close down. So can you sort of work with me a bit slower, please? Thanks very much.
So it comes back to your dragon still here. Let it. Sometimes this happens for us too. It ferments too much, or not enough, and if it ferments too much, it kind of does. It explodes, and you look like you've just woken up, sort of look, and it takes you then longer still here's to digest it, and that's where you can come into the practice of saying, like you said, Dr. Zhu, ease and grace. Just give me ease and grace. I'm not as clever as you think I am. I'm here on Gaia. Just give me little bits so I can digest it and let it ferment that bit, and then ferment the next bit. Yeah. Sometimes it won't let you have that choice, but
no.
like this week.
No, I agree. And I think, to me, it's come down to, for everybody, it's about emotional processing really now. And how can you tell that you're overloaded? Because you'll feel it, and how can you de-obstruct yourself, and therefore get the flow going again, is to take a step back, sink down, allow your shoulders, open your heart, bring that feeling in, and just sit with it, in stillness, right? And then it will all start to flow a bit more readily then, and stuff like that. And that's what I'm trying to show people, is just to rather than emotional react and go forward in an automaton fearful way, is to feel the fear, but step back from it, create some space, allow your breathing to come in. That will slow time down, and therefore the process will be much more smooth and more understandable.
Yeah. Well, this week, when it started for our family this week, I was actually, just lately, it's wanting to have witnesses. So I was actually in a session, and I got interrupted by the little girls crying. It was very dramatic, and they were very stressed. I could feel their hearts beating. Their hearts were just pounding in terror. And so we went out and addressed what was going on. By the way, all our family members are okay, so I'm just letting you know that. But the terror that was in them, and I said, you're going to have to stop. You're going to have to collect yourselves, because nothing you're doing right now will assist any of us. You have to take a breath, collect yourself, and work through it. And I know this feels really fast at the moment, but this might continue for some time, as it did. And it went for some time, that through the day and the night, and they were exhausted, absolutely exhausted. And I said, the same thing is happening from this morning as this afternoon to this evening, but see how different your state of being is with this. And by you in being in this calmer state of being is not only better for your body but everyone around you. And I felt like it happened this way so that they could see that. It was like they went to school, high school, and university all on that day.
Yeah.
And I could never have taught them this ever. So sometimes these things, these challenges that arise for us, you feel like, why is this happening to me? But if you can just, like you said, take a step back and realize that there's gifts and lessons and a growth through this.
Yeah, I agree.
And sometimes you might have to take 2 or 3 steps back, as I did. But if if I chose to go back to the beginning of this week and wished it didn't happen, I don't think I would do that. But that makes me look like the bad guy. I don't know, but
No, no,
yeah,
no, no. It doesn't. I know exactly what you mean. And when I look back, I can see that there was a purpose for it. And when you see the purpose for it, then you can start to live your life on purpose then, rather than accidentally, you know. And I think that that's the shift from knowledge to wisdom. But it's got to be felt, Elsa, as you know. And we're here to feel the human at depth. I know that. And that's why I love on the Soulology thing. There's the two aspects of it. I am soul, but the human is the hero. And I think when I get that, I get the centaur, you know, I immediately get the centaur then. And the centaur's been popping up a lot in my mind recently, you know, and the centaur is a collaboration between the divine and the human, you know, and I think it's a fusion of the two. It's not that one's better than the other. It's a collaboration of spirit and material working together, you know. We've come to time, my friend.
We always come to time. It only feels like 5 minutes.
It doesn't, and that's always an indication, isn't it, really, when it's, oh my God, where did all that go, you know? And I play this back, you know, and listen to what we've been saying, and more information comes as well, really. But more than anything else is, you know, I've called this Getting Real with Dr. Joe. It's not so much about theories. It's, you know, what can we practically do? What practical steps and actions can we do to improve the quality of our own lives, and therefore create less turbulence in the lives of others, like you've just said, right? And pass the message on, you know. And people say to me, well, what's the message? And I know clearly that what you're looking for is within you, right? The information that you need is within you, right? So don't get distracted by expecting. Inspect, you know, and there you'll find the information that you need to take action on. So it's acting upon information received. Feel like a lecturer now, but it's acting on information received, but it depends where you're going to get the information from. And you get that from the still small voice within you. There we are. That was like in nomine patris et filio et spiritu tui sancti. You know, feel like a priest now, you know.
Yeah, you've got to have some smoke around you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's all smoke and mirrors, isn't it? Smoke, mirrors, and blag, really. So
well, I
are.
love that. This whole conversation has come back, and you and I are still here.
Yeah. Yeah. And
That's
I didn't
really
know what
cool.
it meant as well. I got that, you know, what you do is sort of presents itself. And I go, well, what does those Welsh words mean? And I got still here. And I have a friend, you know, Lisa Marie, you know, and she sent me a thing, because I sent her a thing that the evening before I did the 10K race, right? I said, I'll talk to you tomorrow if I'm still here, you know. And she more or less sent me a message after I'd done the race. Are you still with us, you know? And the answer was still here, you know. So it's all falling into place, really. It's just sort of, it's making sense, meaning feeling, making sense of all the connections, isn't it, really? And I think once you can start to do that, you can sort of see the multiplicity and the multidimensionality of things, and it begins to make more sense then, really.
Well, it's what's amazing is it's a red flag.
Yeah. Yeah.
So on a human race, really?
Yeah.
Just can't make this up, can you?
No. And then you get the glib phrases like, you know, life's not a sprint, it's a marathon, you know. And I do see it like that, you know, and all those sort of things that go with those metaphors. Elsa, thanks very much. Let's hope that we can do this further down the line. You know, I think that would be good to see what's happening then. But I hope everybody sort of maybe gets something from this, or maybe not. Don't know. But, you know, I don't know what else to say now. Have you got any closing words for us?
Stay alert. Look for the red flags. Look for the signs, because they're there for you. These gifts are for you. They're there for you, and it's as obvious as a red flag. But Dr. Joe had to act to post it. Or he could have said, "Oh no, I'm not going to post this because it's silly." He could have gone that way as well, which is the doubt and the fear. But you went, "No, I'm going to follow my calling." And we all have our own calling. You just got to be still here to hear it. I love it. I'm very
Sorry.
grateful. Very
Oh no,
grateful that you've invited me
no,
here.
no, I love it. I love it. And we have a laugh as well. I like it, and we have a laugh. And what I got when you got red flag, I got beach patrol. And look at the waves, and don't go into the waves when the red flag's flying. Just keep watching until it calms down a bit, and then you can take the actions and stuff like that. So out of chaos, order is emerging, but sometimes it's difficult to see when it's choppy. And on that note, thanks very much, and that's all I've got to say. And see you next time, and keep in touch. And I love you like mad.
Thank you, Dr. Joe.
You're welcome. Toodaloo, and thanks everybody for tuning in. Bye-bye.
Bye.